Buongiorno, everybody. We speak English. I'm very pleased to be here in Torino to meet you in the framework of this European Agenda for Adult Learning. I'm coming from the Executive Agency for Education, Audiovisual and Culture. And for those who don't know the Executive Agency, it is an agency which has been set up by the European Commission, so it is a part really of the European Commission. It's been set up in 2006 to manage, to execute parts of the programs of the European Commission. And this executive agency manages the lifelong learning program, the centralized actions of the lifelong learning program. I'm working in the executive agency for the Grundvik sub-program, which is a part of the lifelong learning program, and also I'm in charge of the management of this action, which is the implementation of the European Agenda for Adult Learning. So it is in this context that I'm coming to speak to you. Sorry? An overview of my presentation. So I'll speak about the larger EU policy framework. I'm afraid you're going to hear a bit more about policy. I'm going to talk about the objectives and priorities of the European Agenda for Adult Learning, about the current situation at EU level and in Italy. And also, as you probably know, the lifelong learning program is coming to an end. The last call, I think, is in September, not this year. And the new program is called Erasmus+. It will be launched in January 2014, so I'm going to say a few words about it. The policy context, well, we've heard earlier about Europe 2020, which is really the broad context from which starts all the other strategies. It's the European strategy for smart, sustainable and inclusive growth. And it really includes objectives in all parts of the areas such as education, employment, innovation, climate, energy. And from this strategy, two more specific objectives have been defined for education and training. And these two more specific objectives, which should be reached by 2020, are that there should be less than 10% early school leavers, and there should be at least 40% of people between 30 and 34 years old which have completed tertiary education. So these are the more specific objectives in this Europe 2020 strategy. Now, from this strategy, a strategic framework for European cooperation in education and training has been set up, and this is called ET 2020. And in this framework, more specific objectives, we call them benchmarks, have been defined. These are the benchmarks. At least 29% of children between 4 and age of primary education should go in early childhood education. This is really the kindergarten stage. There should be a share of 15 years old which insufficient abilities in reading, mathematics and science should be less than 15%. The share of early leavers from education and training should be less than 10%. There should be at least 34 years old with tertiary education attainment, 40%. And, very important for us today, there should be an average of at least 15% of adults, so By adults, we mean 25-64 years old, participating in lifelong learning. So now, this is the progress up to now. You can see in red the benchmark, and you can see on the right side the EU average in 2006 and the EU average in 2011. And from this, we can see that the trends are quite good for the three first benchmarks. So we're improving. No, I'm sorry. Yes, we're improving for the early school leaving, decreased to 13.5%. Tertiary attainment has increased, and early childhood education has increased. But we're not improving for the employment rate, which has decreased. I'm sorry, it's a bit complicated with these increase-decrease. These are numbers that indicate trends. The participation of adults in learning has decreased. So we're not in a good way for the 15% benchmark. On the other way, the level of basic skills is quite good, and we have passed the benchmark of 15%. Here you can see that the average in 2011 is for reading skills 19.6%, mathematics 22%, and science 17.7%. This is quite positive. Now, for this benchmark, for which situation is a bit difficult now, you can see here situation more specific by countries. So in this graphic, the Italian position is well below the benchmark. So there's still some work to be done. It's about 5.5% in the middle. So, to reach these benchmarks and in the framework of this ET 2020 strategy, the renewed agenda for adult learning was defined, and it is really part of a formal legislation, the Council resolution adopted in 2011. And in this agenda, there are some priorities area and objectives, especially focused on adult learning. And here you can see these priority areas. So they aim at making lifelong learning and mobility a reality. Also, priority is to improve the quality and efficiency of education and training. It's also to promote equity and social cohesion and active citizenship through adult learning. Creativity and innovation of adult and their learning environment is also very important. And improving the knowledge based on adult learning and monitoring the adult learning sector are priority area in this Council resolution. So from this, a number of actions and initiatives have been taken, and I'm going to skip this one, to try to focus on these priority areas. For instance, immediate action which have been taken is to nominate national coordinators in every country participating in the program, to launch cooperation with other countries, so to share with other countries' experience, and to have a liaison with the Commission. So now in each country there is a contact point, which is the national coordinator, with whom it is easy to liaise. And this contact point, also this idea of the national coordinator, is also to have a better integration of the activities of adult learning at local, regional, national level. A second action which has been taken is to provide for countries who requested it, to provide some funding to co-finance activities of the national coordinators, to help implementing the agenda, the adult learning agenda, and to raise awareness of adult learning. So these activities today is part of these activities financed by the European Commission to raise awareness and to implement the agenda. Other contributions of the Commission to the agenda: awareness raising Well, there have been a number of activities organized by the Commission. There are some guidelines which can be used to help organizing awareness-raising activities. There's a high-level expert group on literacy set up. There are peer learning activities on basic skills and literacy. There are numerous projects supported through the Brunswick program. Probably you all know about the program, but I can say that Italy has a good share in the program because, well, this year, for the last Brunswick call, Italy, for centralized actions, has 13 projects in which he is the main beneficiary. 13 projects out of 66 selected, so this is quite a good average. Is anyone here taking part in the Brunswick project? Okay, at least. And there are thematic working groups on quality assurance and financing adult learning. These working groups have people coming from different countries and they work on these specific fields and in order to come up with some recommendations on this. And the work is going on in this. Now, more specifically, the case for Italy, this information is taken from what we call the country-specific recommendations, which are recommendations defined every 18 months, and they cover a whole range of areas like the progress on the pensions, reforms on pension, education, reforms on education, the state of the public finances. So these are really up-to-date information, and they are adopted by national leaders in every country, and they indicate some kind of trends in the different countries on things to be achieved. And so what I could take out from these country-specific recommendations for Italy regarding especially adult learning is that, well, that's not a secret, we've heard about it before, but there's a low participation of adult population in lifelong learning, especially in the group of older adults, so those at the end of the spectrum, the 55-64, which are low participants in adult learning. There's a high youth unemployment, 29.1% on average in 2011. It's especially high among tertiary graduates. And there's a mismatch between the acquired skills and those that are needed in the labor market. There's still a high early school leaving rate, 70%, and this in turn causes increase later on the low-skilled population. So it's possible to have more information on this country-specific recommendation. Of course, there are positive points. There's been a reform in lifelong learning, new working law of 2012, where concepts have been defined, objectives, validation of prior learning, and regional networks for lifelong learning. Now, there is a recently defined strategy for the implementation of the adult learning agenda, and the trends actually are quite good. The trends are improving for the two main targets of the European 2020 strategy for early school leaving and tertiary attainment. Now, I'm going to say just a few words about the new program, the Erasmus Plus program. There are some challenges, big challenges to be addressed, and this is now the situation faced at the beginning of the program, at the time of the definition of the program. And the objectives of the program have really been based on these challenges. There's a growing requirement for high skills jobs, high unemployment rate among young people, and two main targets, which are the tertiary education attainment, which should increase, and the reduction of early school leavers from the average of 40% to less than 10%. So now, the aim with this Erasmus Plus program is to merge the current programs listed here on the left side, the lifelong learning program with the sub-program Erasmus the Youth in Action program, and all those little, smaller programs, let's say, dealing also with education, to merge them into one common integrated program called Erasmus Plus. Erasmus, because this name is a good brand name, let's say, because it's quite popular, it's quite known by the public, and so it was decided to keep the name and to add the rest to the other programs. And there are three main strands in this program: learning mobility of individual, cooperation for innovation and best practices, and there you will find projects which used to be multilateral projects and partnerships. We'll find them in this strand. And then you have support for policy reform, which will give more policy-oriented actions, just like this adult learning agenda. So here, the definition of these three main types of actions. You will see, maybe I can say, for adult education, these are the three strands focused for adult learning. There will be learning mobility of staff. So staff in adult learning center will be able to travel to see outside their country what is going on, to share experiences, to be trained. There will be strategic partnerships for cooperation between adult education providers and other players. So there will be a lot of fundings for these type of projects which are currently existing under the Grundtvig program. And then there will be policy support. So the funding for the activities like the adult learning agenda will continue in the next program. And there will be also the development of electronic platforms, such as EPAL, the electronic platform for adult learning in Europe, which will facilitate communication and exchange of information about adult learning in all Europe. So this program should be launched in January 2014. It's not yet officially adopted, so we cannot yet give exact figures and numbers and dates and so on. But that adoption process is on a good way, and if everything goes well, December should be adopted this new program. Thank you very much.